Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about the new issue of the Walking Dead comic, 184. Eugene Tinkers is what it's called. There's the variant cover with the princess. I actually do like the coloring. You guys know I'm not fond of the whole goofy. It's funny, there's like the end of a sex scene in here. Nothing crazy. I mean, princess in her underwear. I had so many people message me, and they were like, I won't blow anyone's spot up, but I had a few different people message me, and they were like, wait a minute, I thought she was like 15, 12, you know? I was like, nah, I think she's in her 20s or something. To be honest, I don't know, because when we first saw her, I thought she was younger, like 20, 25, something like that. But then in some images, she looks like she's in her 30s, so I'm not really sure. She does have that childish, way of talking, so maybe that's what it was. Anyway, these are the variants. There's two more. The November, which is Jesus, and I believe, and then the December, which is Negan. Anyway, so this comic right here, this is tricky because I was kind of meh. All throughout reading it, getting to the end, I was kind of meh. On one hand, there's a lot of similarities that we've already been down that road before with Alexandria and stuff like that. A new community and meeting leaders and having different leading styles. So on one hand, I was definitely a little meh. On another hand, if that is just the face of what the story is, but there's so much more deeper underneath the surface, and then let's say there's more that's going to get really exciting after this, like the next issue and the next issue. This is one of those issues that you're bound to run into. It's impossible to have 20 pages, 22 pages of story and have every single issue be just like amazing. You need those builder issues, those volume fillers, I call them, and not a filler as in a negative way, because it's building up the story and it's filling out the volume. So this issue right here, there was a lot, like the prison arc, I felt the same way. There was not a lot, but a few of them, where I thought it was so much better reading it in the actual compendium, as opposed to single issues. When I reread them now in some of the single issues, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm so glad I read that in a compendium. This is one of those issues. How you feel about it is going to rely heavily on what happens with the story after. Because if the story just kind of crumbles apart, this issue is not going to have a lot of weight to it. But if the story gets really good, you'll have a lot to pull from different things that are happening. So Pamela, the new governor from the Commonwealth, she shows up at the Commonwealth with her people, Mercer and Rick. And this is the first time Rick is getting to the community. And it's only a small little battle. I'm not going to go and show off the whole comic, but we only have a small little battle erupt here. And then they shut it down. And we go to Michonne immediately. And I'll tell you what, that was a little jarring. How we went right to Michonne. And she was kind of pleading her side for, I like these big page issues. Or these big splash pages. Double spreads or whatever they're called. It was a little bit jarring because I thought we would have a slower and smoother transition from going to the riot, which I did believe was going to be a lot bigger. But going from the riot to her pleading her case already, I get it. It's moving the story along, so it's all right. But we just have her pleading her case. She talks a little bit to Rick about the place. And then we flash back to Eugene and Wilma. She's basically, that's us, because she's asking the questions for the exposition to hit us. You know what I'm saying? So she's asking why the train, and this is obvious, it's the train on the cover, and this is to connect the two communities because they're a bigger distance, which could actually give us a hint. I never even noticed she's even on the cover, hidden there like an Easter egg. This could actually be a hint that the story is going to be a real slow build, a slow burn with the Commonwealth, and whatever happens with the Commonwealth, this train is going to be used to connect them two together. So it's not going to be like just two communities bumping heads and having problems. So, yeah, Rick and them just essentially clean up. They show Dwight and his girl cleaning up. Rick talks to some people in the community. And then the ending here, I had a few people tell me they thought the end was really like a surprise. Did something go wrong in printing? This isn't a cliffhanger. Where's the rest of it? And I get what they mean, because the way you're reading it, this feels like it'll have another page that will be the cliffhanger, or two more pages that will be like the cliffhanger. And this part, I tell you what, it made me salty again, because we just had that back and forth with Dwight and Rick. They seemed like so cool when they came back from the new beginning. And then they had that falling out with Sherry when she died. And then he was kind of like, yeah, you know, I was a dick, whoop-de-whoop, I'm not going to do that again. And then the end of this issue, you got him just being like, the fuck do you mean no? Like, I'm back at it. Anytime you say anything that doesn't align with how I feel, I'm just immediately going to buck back against you. And I like Dwight in the comic. I like his storyline and the flow of it and how it did that. But I'm getting a little sick of him. And I feel like it's going to suck if this is just here for, because that's how comics are set up. You need something that's going to leave the reader being like, oh shit, there's going to be problems. But if the next issue we get one page where it's like, listen, Dwight, here's what I mean, whoop-de-whoop, da-da-da, and then Dwight is like, okay, you know what, I came at you sideways one time, and it was wrong, I'm going to put myself in check, this is how I feel, Rick, you know, and then he walks away and they're still good, and this was just a mislead cliffhanger. We've had a few of those. If this was just a mislead, then I'm going to be like a little iffy about that. It's like, I know you need to have the cliffhangers for the comics, but it's kind of like, Alright, I did want to just peek through the letter hacks to see if there's anything to mention. And I will get to Princess in another video. She is a recent character that has the fan base split right now, and I will get to her in a separate video. I was going to upload that today. I don't have enough time. Plus, I want to look into something. There's something that was Princess-like in the comic like 40 issues ago, extremely similar, and I want to show you guys that, because the way the fandom is split right now, I want to make that comparison. So we'll go over. That's why I didn't talk about her little moment. I see some fans rolling their eyes already. And it's not even that much of a big deal. She's getting out of bed with Mercer. She hooks up with Mercer. He's like, oh, whoop, you know, it's serious. I don't want to just wham bam, thank you ma'am. And then she kind of has her little dialogue. It's just annoying. That type of character, it's the one that repeats herself like, is this serious or is this just a fling? It's a fling. I know it's just a fling. I feel like it's just a fling. It's okay if it's just a fling. That kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stereotypical. One thing we will talk about though with characters like Princess and characters we don't like, and this is something that I'm realizing too, writing my own material. Just like in the real world, you're always going to run into characters that don't fit like how you live. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to be the most corniest sons of bitches you've ever met in your life. But the reality is, in this world, there's people who are criminals, rock solid, you know, hands don't shake. There's people who are just soft as you know, a feather, or they melt like a snowflake. You know what I'm saying? There's all these different types of people in the world of The Walking Dead. You're going to run into some characters that you naturally don't like. And we will get into the SJW topic. That's another one we see popping up every now and then. I'm going to save that for Princess's video. But in the comic hack, or letter hacks though, in the comic, it's a little funny how they talk about Telltale Games. They do these a little early. They clearly did this before their announcement, because they're like, yeah, episode 3 is planned for November, episode 4 for December, and then it's like they'll be answering a lot of Clem's questions after that one. Womp womp. That sucks. And I'm not saying that on them. They got to do this early, but it's kind of like, Damn, that sucks. I hope they do get funding and they can complete the Telltale games. Here we go. Walking Dead. Walking Dead Day. 10, 13, 18. Do not forget, there's a ton of stuff. This is the cover I'm most excited about. I cannot wait. I got Charlie Adler signed it, and that's coming to me, I don't know, like a week after this releases. However long it takes to get here from the UK. And then I'm going to my comic shop and picking up one of these bad boys fresh. So that's going to be awesome. But there's other 15 variant covers. Anyhow, like I said, this gets tricky because the stuff that happens in this story, in a contained story, I wasn't all that excited about it. Just in a contained issue, it honestly didn't do much for me. However, what pops from this, the progression of the story, whether people want to leave the Commonwealth and come to Alexandria, whether what Dwight wants to do is going to annoy me or not, or stick with his character, or a false cliffhanger, or whether the relationship with Mercer and Princess is going to develop into something that's actually going to be interesting in the future of the storyline. Michonne and her connection to the Commonwealth. It all depends on how the story plays out. Like with the Whisperers story arc, there was a lot of issues in the beginning where just by themselves, I was like, yes, please, I love this issue. Like 132 is one of my all-time favorite single issues. However, the end of the Whisperer story arc, even though those single issues were awesome, the way the story arc ended, I still didn't like the entire arc just because the ending kind of just went out with a whimper. So we really got to see what happens coming up in the storyline. But for this single issue itself, yeah, not all. I would say take your time, no rush, read it when you can. You know, this one will definitely be best when you read it in a volume. But you guys put your thoughts and opinions down in the comment box. What did you think of the new issue of The Walking Dead 184? I do want to talk about some more comics. Maybe we'll talk about the Die. I hate word bubbles on the comics. And look at that. I found one without word bubbles. This is like the gimmick with Die. They got all these word bubbles. And I only picked this one. It says pizza tonight. And then she says more in the mood for Thai. I only picked that because my sister-in-law is from Thailand. So that's it. Other than that, I hate word bubbles, man. I like it clean like that. Clean. And anyway, we got Stranger Things. I'll talk about that. I love Stranger Things. And we're a little worried about them doing a comic, though. Paper Girls, we're ditching that. It was more like Stranger Things, but this is the last issue. If this isn't rock solid, I'm probably ditching that. And I grabbed this just to check it out. It's post-apocalyptic, so we'll have a look at that. And then this was a blind buy. I said, I love the color green. It's in issue number 1. It's got to be badass, right? So we'll talk about that. If there's anything else you want to discuss, let me know. We have a couple more eclipses. I just grabbed them at the shop. What else? The Oblivion song. We got to talk about that one. And then the Batman Damned. You got to give Marvel credit. They knew what they were doing. Some corny-ass controversy that don't even matter. Just ridiculous. Anyway, thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. I almost stepped on my daughter's present. What are you doing, kitty? Ow. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.